Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter Americas. We're moving into our fourth match, the winner's match, everyone's favorite match of the Americas Group G. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Nathaniel Fabricant. What's up? What can't you do? What fabric can't you do?
OU. I can't qualify for WCS.
What? Yeah.
That's right.
You know, have you tried prodding it through? By the way, guys, just a fun little story. One of my favorite stories is there was this moment that Roddy decided to play in one of the WCS qualifiers for an event that he was hired to cast. And just the look or like the messages I saw on Discord as I was talking with some of the Blizzard employees being like, guys, Roddy's getting to the qualifying match. Guys, what do we do? If Roddy qualifies for WCS, he's supposed to cast WCS. What do we do? That was a fun moment.
We both got hired to do one of the qualifiers, and I remember we had to split. Like, he went on the stream and casted when I was playing, and then we took turns with our matches.
I love that.
Yeah, the admin didn't like how much that slowed everything down for our bracket, but...
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, our next match, I should say, is going to be starting on up. It's going to be a Terran versus Zerg, Coffee versus TLO. Both these guys looking super strong in each one of their respective matches.
I see this as potentially the best match that we have today.
I think it definitely could be a really cool and close match. It is still difficult, though, because I don't know necessarily that much of what Coffee's Terran versus Zerg looks like. And again, it's not because I haven't been watching StarCraft, Nate. It's because Coffee has disappeared from the StarCraft tournament scene for a year and a half.
I'm very interested to see what he brings to the table. Played a super great standard schmandard game earlier against Seether. What's he going to do against the Wunderwunsch? He is Coffee.
20 years old. I was very wrong when I talked to Zombie Grub. Starting up here at the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Zerg player. He is Team Liquid's TLO.
What, did you think he was like 30 or something?
I thought he was 24 or 26 for some reason.
Oh, okay. Maybe you're just thinking about 26 because it's my birthday soon, Fear Dragon.
Are you turning 22?
Wait.
Well, if you had a beard again, then I would say, are you turning 35?
No, it's 45. It would be 45 now.
45, wow.
I have the beard.
Time sure flies faster when you have a beard.
It does, and when you play Terran, you know.
When was the last time you had your beard?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
I think it's like three days. If I don't shave within 3 days, then people are like, "Oh my God, it's coming back, David."
When you said 3 days, I was like, "You had it 3 days ago? What?" You're like, "I shaved it right before the broadcast."
No, I do go a little bit hobo mode when we're done with the events for the rest of the year. You know, that's about it. And then it's like, "Oh, Nate, WCS next week. All right." And then
December Nathaniel.
We get a cinematic and everything where I get my hair cut from being a long mane and.
You're like situating yourself in this.
Yeah. Tasteless and I actually both go into the same chamber. It's the same. It's that room at the start of Austin Powers. Tasteless and I just go through like the full makeover as we're brought back to life and have to start commentating video games again.
And he finishes the shaving and he's just like, GG.
Yeah. Well, actually, the final test is you have to step in front of a mirror and give that guttural GG into a microphone.
Yeah, your voice actually, the pitch of your voice goes down.
It's the StarCraft commentator escape room that Thanius and Tasteless do every year.
Okay, guys. In this Terran versus Zerg, we have pretty standard openings from both sides. The Reaper is scouting around for Zerglings, though. And this goes to show you that Coffee, of course, has no idea what the Wunderwunsch is up to right now. He's just keeping an eye out for any potential pool firsts. And I feel like even though the Chinese scene is pretty segregated in a lot of ways from a lot of the other StarCraft scenes, TLO is one of those names that has been around for such a long time in StarCraft. He's known as a guy who gets creative, gets in his opponent's face, likes to mix it up a lot. There's got to be some respect from Coffee to say, this guy is willing to throw out the cheeses. I've got to play a little bit on the safer side.
Yep. And for anybody interested or curious, of course, TLO is playing here in the Americas region, not the Europe region, because He moved to Canada. Like a year ago or something, basically. He's been there for a good while now.
Moved over there, then had to move again because apparently flooding. Didn't have a great time with that. But speaking of flooding, he is going to be up against a flood of Hellions turning into Hellbats soon.
Smooth segue, Fear Dragon. That Armory and Medevac speak volumes about the Terran players' ill intentions towards the Zerg. And now I wonder, are we going to see him play mech as a follow-up? Is that what it's going to be, Fear Dragon?
Well, TLO is making his first scout on the other side of the map. He sees 4 Hellions and a Reaper. None of that looks weird. Nothing about that looks strange. But the Overlord makes its very slow crawl in. By the time this Overlord sees the Armory or anything even close to it, the Hellbats are already going to be morphed in at the third base. The Roach Warren only about halfway finished up. He's got to rely purely on Zerglings, and he's only got 8 out right now with 2 more on the way. The Queen count is up to 5, but they're not here.
Yep, there's those Hellbats, Hellions ripping through a little bit. I like that he added just a handful of Marines to this as well. Really good at helping to zone and push back in these positions. And there we have them coming up. The Queens are starting to spread out a little bit, but the Roaches are not here yet.
Ooh.
Zerglings are on the way, but these Hellbats are really getting some work done for Coffee.
Oh, absolutely. Getting in on top of the mineral line as well. The drones being pulled off the line to help defend, but they're up against Hellbats. They get roasted and toasted. The Lings coming in from behind, slowly but surely. They are just getting picked away at. The
Medevac micro.
Oh, it gets saved, and now there's no Queens on this side of the hatchery, so that Medevac is going to be able to escape out of there alive if it decides to retreat. He's already done so much damage, missed injects because all the Queens are here to defend. And the Medevac, okay, does try and go for a bit of an overeager dive back to save the Hellbats, but would you say this was enough damage, Nathanius?
Without a third command center, it's hard to say. That Liberator also gets picked off after a few more drones die. But TLO is ahead to 2 workers, and he can kind of just crank more out right now. But the biggest problem that I see is there's not enough barracks even with Stim to really do anything. And this isn't over yet by any means. Like, the Hellions could try to dive in, and if they get like another big wave of drones, then maybe we start to think about like a doomsday scenario for TLO. But there's not enough production for Coffee to wind up for an attack. Like, Stim is just on the way, and these Roaches, they could put some pressure on here. I think he might focus on SCVs on the other side of the bunker.
Yep.
Probably a good strategy.
Loads up a Marauder into the bunker, so it's going to be able to get some extra shots off. The Hellions do go for the run by. 3 workers going down, 2 Hellions still left over. The Ling's going to be able to clean that up. The Roaches on the other side of the map, able to get some damage under the bunker, but now that the Hellions are dead, Coffee refocuses SCVs, repairs up that bunker, and the Widow Mines seal the deal.
Well defended, a little attack there. And it's not going to be mech despite the fast armory. So Coffee's going to stick to his Stim bio-y guns. And we have the evolution chambers with a lair for the Wunderwunsch. And TLO should feel pretty confident to just drone up a bit. Because like I said, the barracks, they've only just now started barracks number 2 and 3. So it's not like he can really build a lot of Marines. I think he just picked up a, was it 4 Hellions drop? So this is basically all he's had to deal with, is this his harassment style tactics. No big attack, no game-ending push. The Hellbats certainly have a tipping point in that early game when he does the rush. But without it, killing him, it really does delay everything, especially since that armory doesn't really contribute to the overall game plan of Coffee until his 1-1 is done, basically.
All right, I think the Medevac is now making its way into the main base. The Hellions come back in. TLO with a very quick response on those drones, already being pulled out of the way. Medevac taking some damage to the Queens, and the Hellions get out of dodge. This one Widow Mine already mentioned in itself, I believe, 2 drone kills there, as TLO keeps trying to move forward to establish that expansion, but now the Lings will be able to push that one Widow Mine back. The Hellions come back in.
Yep, and I love this, constantly digging, looking for opportunities. I would get the Medevac out of there at this point. It's going to be really hard to save it.
Wow.
Well,
I can't believe it.
Well, the Queen anti-air attack is normally the same range as an intercontinental ballistic missile, but not far enough to get to the abyss that Port Alexander has behind your main base. Did I mention Liberator range, by the way?
Yeah, bit tough there.
Really good on this map, just saying.
Well, 1-1 on the way, and it's going to be melee upgrades, and we've already seen quite a few Lings. We got Hydras on the way to complement things, so TLO not planning to make a ton more Roaches for a bit, and is getting up that 4th base.
Yep, and all of a sudden, the world begins to return to normal with its rotation. We have the third base taken by the Terran player. Would love to see if Dario could pull off some of those swipes that we were seeing Silky do, like the counterattacks and the run-bys. But it looks like, yeah, the switches into the Ling Bane Hydra. Did he get the Baneling? He has the Baneling nest, right? Or did he not?
Yeah, he did get a Baneling nest.
We have
hasn't.
Baneling speed.
Oh, he's made 2 Banelings.
Did he get Bane speed?
Not yet, actually.
No. Okay,
He hasn't started it either.
Big. That's pretty big. So Baneling speed is going to be important for stopping some of these attacks, especially if the creep spread gets pushed back by any significant degree. And Coffee's just building up the rest of his forces. Multi-prong aggression is really good. Without Baneling speed, it's pretty much impossible to close up on any of these guys because the Hydras are going to get the range upgrade first, so they don't have the ability to chase off creep yet either.
Is it a mistake to not have Baneling speed started by now?
It's been a little bit of a weird game, and TLO's building a lot of Zerglings. I'm going to say yes, just because it's just so hard to take a fight, and I feel like Coffee is going to be making his first push reasonably soon. Although if he waits for 2-2, Baneling speed will be ready. So maybe I'm just crazy.
Yeah, I think that's drone was supposed to become a Spore Caller or something, but got canceled. There is Baneling
Maybe
speed.
that drone just wanted to look out. Maybe he's just admiring the view.
I want to be an Overlord one day. You kind of missed your chance on that, Larva. Well, this hatchery is going to be safe for a bit longer, but it is sitting at half its hit points, or less than half its hit points. And Marauders, they don't do a lot of damage to drones. They don't do a lot of damage to Lings, but they can kill buildings pretty quickly. They do finally start to get picked off here, though, as the Spore Caller takes care of the Medivacs. And we have the big push in from the south side of the map with a handful of Marines in these Medivacs.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really done any like big damage since the start of the game. So TLO's he's recovered nicely. 73 drones is a fair amount. He's got what he needs to put together the army that he wants. And he's going to move over towards this high ground position. I think there's enough siege tanks here with the Marine support to get some work done over here.
Oh,
I don't know about that. Yeah,
diving.
that's a lot of dead Zerglings. And the creep gets cleared a little bit more once again on the north side. There's still 1 or 2 active tumors up there, though.
Yeah,
the Overlord.
This might actually force TLO into just establishing his next base down here on the far bottom left-hand side, but that gets very close to his opponent's side of the map.
Yep.
So it's dicey, but that's where his creep spread is right now.
Yeah, you don't want to expand that way. There's a big army here for Coffee. He's put together a very impressive Marine tank force. I'd love to see some follow-up tech. Maybe more Liberators. TLO just started a second infestation pit. He's building a second one. He's about to have 2 infestation pits.
Okay, well he'll have the backup in case he loses one.
Maybe he wants to go neural
some
parasite,
damage
and pathogen glands.
at the same time.
Why not?
It could be. It is the Wonder Winch. Well, Medivacs gonna take some damage. Focus fires down
got
the
the full
weakened one. Yeah, unfortunately, all the units were inside the weakened up one. A single Marine, not going to be able to make a whole lot happen over here. But does buy a little bit of attention. A lot of units sent in this direction because there's also a drop in the main base. And at the same time, keep an eye on that mini-map on the south side.
Big army going towards the south. A lot of the Banes do detonate on that army. There's the stim forward with a small contingency group to grab those creep tumors. Now you want to siege the tanks, spread the bio, and really poke forward with just a little bit of your main force.
Yep, we end up seeing the bio for Coffee starting to move forward. He's not actually going to go for the hatchery just yet. He feels confident about the siege tank position. He feels confident about taking this fight. A lot of the bio is gone, though. The Banelings, a few of them still left over, but none of them connecting. Looks like he will be able to push this back. The hatchery alive.
Those siege tanks needed a bit of focus fire love there. Did not really connect with anything of value with the siege tank.
Oh.
And TLO is going to push this army back. Whoa. Okay, he's flexing there at that burrow.
Yeah.
Have you seen how fast my Hydralisks unburrow? Yes.
Oh my god, he's
be very terrified.
He's either misclicking or he's styling on him? No.
Yeah. TLO's flexing, man. He moved to North America.
He's flexing the burrow muscles.
He gained that NA swagger. Okay? This guy's not eating kebab from some random street vendor. No, no, no. He's got poutine. Okay?
That's pretty good.
You know what they say. When you're somewhere long enough, eventually you take it in, the water and the food there. Eventually all of your cells are based on your new place that you're from, Fear Dragon. He's picking up some new moves.
This is a hatchery. That's a little bit less than ideal, and Coffee's going to be able to unload a drop in the main base that goes totally unscouted so far. And this might catch TLO a bit off guard because a lot of his army, or I should say a majority of it, is positioned to the far south side of the map.
Yeah, he took that fight and never got back. Kills the Morphing
Hive.
All right, well, Coffee's, well, you could say he's got a hot temperature warning, Fear Dragon.
It is certainly boiling up as we end up seeing the drops unloading over here, killing off a few Banelings. And this attack for TLO almost scouts. Oh, okay, he's going to find the drop. That is a good catch.
Good grab.
But he hasn't really found an opportunity to feel comfortable pushing into Coffee's third base or attacking his fourth base. He's having to pull back once again, and Coffee is once again cleaning up so much creep spread on the north side.
Yep. The creep spread cleanup's been really nice. You mentioned this earlier, but he's kind of been forced to the bottom left corner of the map, and
He started the lair just now.
The only base he was able to protect was that bottom left base, and even then it was still very low. But now with no creep here, his army can kind of do the same type of pressure we've been seeing him do to the main base. Been really well played here by Coffee. I think it's been a good game on both sides. And he might get a big pickup here if he can get these medevacs.
One of the medevacs is so low on hit points, 7 hit points. That's going to die to one Hydra attack. But they're going to escape to the corner where you cannot be reached. Trying to buy a little bit of time. Oh my God, the hatchery!
19-0?
It's 4 SCV attacks.
What does a 19 health hatchery look like in real life? Is it just like, is it like a giant block of tofu with huge chunks taken out of it?
I like how in your mind it hasn't taken damage, it's that it just looks like tofu. It's actually the material of its existence.
Well, yeah, what I mean is it's been chunked away, like there's just giant globs of it missing.
Well, Marauders are going to be taking a lot of damage here at the front lines. These Hydras having some trouble making their way through, but finally the Siege Tanks get involved in the fight, and this choked up army at the top of the ramp not faring as well.
Yeah, you know, they say that the convex doesn't beat the concave, but, well, Tasteless hasn't seen that. 3-3 Bio versus 2-2 Zerg.
Yeah, it turns out that convex was actually, in fact, a telescope that honed in perfect place for the damage to happen.
Fear Dragon, I didn't realize I was back in school. Thank you, Professor.
Are telescopes concaves or convex lens? Oh, that's why we're here and not in school. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, we're getting ready to move into game number 2. And I have to say, like you said, I thought both players were playing really well. But Coffee really impressing me in that series. He had so much control in that game.
I feel like his opening flubbed a little because he did so much. But at the end, like, TLO still had the workers. And he didn't lose the base. And he still saved a lot of his queens. And I'm like, yeah, he traded some drones. But I really felt like TLO was able to recover extremely well. But then Coffee just got a couple of big ace plays. Namely, you brought it up, like he gets the Hive right before it finishes.
That hurt. That really
No Vipers, no 3-3. How are you going to compete?
It's tough. Even, of course, I was a little bit concerned for TLO not having the Baneling speed and stuff, so maybe some small mistakes here and there, but Coffee just playing really, really well, putting the pressure on, and honestly, more than anything else, forcing mistakes out of his opponents. So we'll see as we go into Cyber Forester game number 2 if TLO is going to be able to turn the tide of this series. As this is the winner's match, the winner moves on. And while, of course, you might be thinking, well, you can still go to the decider match. Sure, these guys will stand a good chance versus Silky, but you really do want to make it out first in your group. And also, Silky is not a guy that you want to mess around with. He is someone that when he gets into form, when he gets into the right headspace, he's going to be a pretty scary opponent for either one of these players, I think.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's a nice little finish to this group. I like that. That was a good game. I kind of came into the mind, I was like, based on how Coffee played the first series against Seether and what we already know about TLO, I expected this to be very close. If there's a game that's going to go 3 games, I'd want it to be this one. But Coffee playing very impressively for a player that I've actually only just now finally gotten the opportunity to start commentating some of his games.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Excited to see more of this guy, whether he makes it out of this group or not. But next map, Cyber Force. Do you have any kind of thoughts? I know that we've seen mech shenanigans and all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, shoot, we saw Masa doing mass cloak banshee run-bys to snipe off hatcheries and queens and stuff. Do you want to just see standard play from Coffee, or is this the time to mix it up a little?
I think standard. I think stick to some standard. Because, you know, his name is Coffee. His name is not a different variation of Coffee, right? So he's not that out there. Hellbat attacks are normal enough, but
yeah, that's a fair mix-up.
yeah.
Of course, hopefully, again, TLO will be able to get up that Baneling speed upgrade. And speaking of the Baneling nest, we do have an amazing war chest skin here. If you guys do decide to pick up that mechanical Baneling skin from the war chest, then you too can unlock this fabulous, fabulous building.
That was a smooth segue into that plug.
Was it though? I feel like we weren't talking about the Baneling nest at all, or the Baneling speed.
You can make something Coffee you can make. If you need a splash of corrosive acid in your coffee, you can get it from the Baneling. I don't know. You're right now.
Yeah. Well, aren't you looking forward to the potential match of silky smooth coffee now? If Coffee loses this,
no.
Now suddenly Nathanius has a horse to bet on in this match.
Goodness,
no.
No.
Oh.
But then Coffee uses his name change right before we go into game. Changes his name to Peppermint Mocha. What kind of build? What kind of build is he gonna break out?
There's only one player that I know who has done this in the middle of a tournament, but there's one player who changed his name mid-tournament. It was Puck. In the middle of the Red Bull Battlegrounds, he changed his name. He just changed his name from Puck to Iron Man in the middle of one of the Red Bull Battlegrounds tournaments. I always thought that was awesome. If you got a name change, you're not supposed to use it.
Why would you do it in the middle of a tournament?
I thought that was hilarious.
No, that should be grounds for disqualification.
I mean, it's actually disallowed from the WCS rulebook. You have to pick your name at the beginning of the season.
Well, to be fair,
change your capitalization.
To be fair, I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit on you guys, all right? Because this might blow some of your minds. But the names you see on the screen right now are from an overlay. So whatever name they tell us they're using,
that's not true, Nate. Because
put
watch,
it there.
If it was from an overlay, then when I put my mouse on top of those names, then the mouse will disappear. And we both know that won't happen. So starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Terran player. He is Coffee. Sitting up 1-0.
Of course we do that because sometimes people have weird names or their names are really long or they use barcodes for tournaments. Don't know why. But his opponent in the southeast, the Wunderwunsch in the red, he's TLO. This is going to put him over 100K then, prize earnings wise, if he's at 99.8.
Yeah, because $675 to anyone that gets knocked down the group stages. So worst case, he would still be put over to the 100K
awesome.
club.
Congratulations, Dario. Poutine's on you next time.
I don't think he'll be on board for that plan, but we do have a pool first here from Dr. Dario, adding on the hatchery, then going for the gas geyser, and then throwing down a very fast Roach Warren.
Ooh.
Nate, this really can only be one thing. A Nidus. No, just kidding.
I was going to say.
Nate, how much do you trust me?
Not at all. Not at all.
That's a wise decision. So Coffee goes with the low ground expansion. Now the Reaper should be able to make its way across the map and will be the first unit that scouts out the shenaniganry here. But the Lings are made on TLO's side of the map, walking their way around to try and evade the Reaper. And the idea of this is to also try and buy a little bit of time.
Yeah, but it's only 4 Zerglings. So this isn't like a panic number. When you see this, you kind of pull the Marine back, bring down 2 or 3 SCVs to fight, because you do want to finish your command center. And then you should be fine. If 6-lings, it gets a bit tricky.
Oh,
he snipes that worker.
Yeah, but Coffee is going to be in a bit of a weird spot now because the Reaper pulls all the way back after just seeing
he didn't see
the hatchery. He just says, oh, okay, it's just a pull first. That's the extent of it. I'll go pull back. There's only 4 Lings here. I'll deal with the Lings, and then I'll be in a great spot because, yeah, losing the worker sucks, but we'll go into a normal game from here. No, TLO's not going to let that happen.
This could get funky. I mean, we've seen, and I think TLO, a very intelligent player, has recognized that his opponent is opening up a lot with Hellions. And going for fast Hellions, not really building tanks at all, I'm sure Dario's also. And that's the thing, TLO is just a smart player. So he sees this, he recognizes the situation, he crunches the numbers. I actually heard he went to the same top of the peak of Mount Everest Temple that In Control went to learn his number crunching abilities.
Very impressive.
And he knows how to get inside the head of his opponent. He's looking for a quick win here potentially in game number 2 to bring this series even. That bunker not ready yet. And oh, I love this. Look at this. It's the bile. He's picked the sweet spot. You can hit the reactor, the factory, and the depot at the same time.
Yep. The triple threat right there. The Widow Mines are interesting. He's going to lose. No, doesn't end up losing either one of them.
Send the Overlord. Bait him. Or just bile it. Yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
Got him.
And the other Widow Mine a little bit too low on hit points to easily burrow right at the front lines. The reactor are going to end up falling here. The supply depot getting very low, and that is not going to supply block Coffee immediately, but it will eventually.
Yeah, he's building a Viking because he's like, well, I can at least try to prevent him from biling uphill with that.
And of course, TLO is no scrub. He already has drones being made. He's up to 37. He's got his lair on the way. He started up Zergling speed, still killing off a few workers that were very boldly mining from the natural. And I like that, yeah, like you said, the Viking going to be able to take out that Overlord, shut down that high ground vision, and finally push this back. And TLO's just going to sack in these Ravagers to get the damage done.
Yeah, oh, I mean, he definitely did what he was looking to do, right? He's at 43 drones to 23 SCVs. He's got his third base on the way. It's not crazy far. And he's got his lair coming in. So with fleeing speed finishing, I mean, the Dr. Dario's got to be feeling good. Yeah, look at that income graph.
Yeah, being a doctor pays well, guys. That's what we're learning here today. And Evolution Chamber on the way is going to allow him to go into those upgrades. At this point, the one kind of thing that does go Coffee's way is the fact that he has his starport finished up. He has his tech, and he went for cancel on something. Not sure what that was, but he is going to be able to get out some forms of counter pressure that can maybe try and do some equalizing damage, but it is still going to be a tough road ahead of him.
Yeah, the Viking is poking forward. Queens, I don't know if they have enough energy to heal it. So you're going to get that Overlord killing.
Yeah,
Bounce.
Just short.
Oh, wow. No, not able to get away. Tragically.
And that doesn't seem like a huge steal, but that does shut down map vision for a bit as well for Coffee, because that was the only form of scouting information Coffee was going to have for a bit. He has seen now that there were a few roaches made, sure, but those also could have just been there to make sure that Hellions weren't able to just immediately run by.
And look at this boldness from TLO. He's like, yeah, no one ever builds a second Viking. I'm going to spread all my Overlords out again now that I don't have to worry about it. That's the 300 IQ play as a Terran.
And the 400 IQ players use the Liberator.
No. I was saying you sack your Viking, bait them into sending out more Overlords than they would have originally had, and then your Viking gets like 20 Overlord kills and your opponent rage quits.
There you go. Marauders run by to clean up some of the creep, kills off a couple of these active creep tumors, the most forward ones, so that is a good win there for Coffee. Because of the way that TLO opened, he isn't going to have amazing creep spread for a large portion of this game, and that just actually set him back quite a bit. He doesn't have a ton of queens to make the creep spread start up super duper fast.
No, he does not. So Baneling Nest is coming in. His lair is done, as we've already pointed out, so I imagine him to just go straight into centrifugal hooks.
There it is. Baneling Nest finishing. Centrifugal hooks.
Get that Bane
speed. Dario, I believe in you.
Get her done.
All right, we're going to come back to that. There is a Liberator making its way into the main base.
And it's out.
You know what?
Ooh.
If your Banelings are already on top of your opponent, do you need them? I mean, Baneling speed.
You don't need Baneling speed if they're going to put all their SCVs in a ring around your Nidus for them to blow up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the armor buff kind of actually eliminated Terran players doing that at least, so that is the bright side for Coffee.
No, it's still better to use your SCVs. The reason
do 1 damage at a time.
You know that this change is actually better for SCVs killing Nidus Worm Sphere Dragon? I'm about to blow your mind. When the Nidus Worm was invulnerable while tunneling, you could not attack it or issue any commands to it because you can't issue any commands to invincible units. It was actually very hard to get your SCVs to attack the Nidus as soon as it finished because they kind of derp around it. He doesn't know that it's coming, by the way, so none of this is relevant. But your SCVs are at least attacking it the moment it loses the armor, at which point they do a lot of damage to it.
Oh my god. I think if these SCVs had actually been to the right on their first build thing, they would have seen this a few seconds earlier.
Yeah, I mean...
There's another nice one now. Yeah. There is an attack at the top right, but it was just a few Hellions trying to get some damage done. They go cleaned up very, very quickly. His barracks under fire.
Oh,
the Tech Lab barracks, the ones that would
research. Tumors immediately inside the base as well. TvZ getting piles of tanks there.
Yeah. Okay, the siege tanks do get some good damage done, and the Nidus Swarm does get cleaned up. And
load fast as well. Load fast into the Nidus Swarm as well. The Nidus buff was really cool. That's like that's like a really smart way that they kind of made it more viable, because I feel like the whole activation mechanic was really frustrating when it was invincible, but now it's like you can shut it down, but if it does finish, it's going to be a lot more effective than previous.
Queens, queens, queens!
Also the health buff to the Nidus as well.
Health buff was nice, 100 extra hit points.
Yep.
Okay, well, the Ravagers can technically Corrosive Bile down that supply depot wall if he really wants to try and push the issue, but does he need to right now? He's been able to contain Coffee down to just 2 bases, and he's got a second Nidus Swarm up. He's spreading out creep to literally the front door, and he's also been able to shut down a lot of the drops. Losing some of the Overlords obviously sucks.
He's on a 4th base too. Coffee's like trapped.
Exactly. It is straight up, Coffee cannot take another expansion right now.
He's got creep spread all over his base. His base is... He finally got it out of his main, but this is not what you want to be doing. You're like, you think about it, you can't land a 3rd. So you don't have mules, and you're dealing with all of this weirdness. There's creep tumors all over your own base because all you can do is scan, and your scans aren't even offensive. It's not like you're scanning to make a push. You're scanning to get rid of your opponent. I mean, his little towers outside of your base, seeing everything that you do.
It is not a pretty sight, and we end up seeing a lot of Medivacs loading on up. The 3rd orbital command going to try and gradually make its way over here to get something done. The Medivacs get scouted out by the Roaches and the Ravagers, so TLO
has to be feeling so good. Like, if you're TLO right now, you're the most comfortable man in the world.
There's still a lot of Medivacs out, so I guess there still could be the 2-prong attack that catches TLO off guard. And hey, 3 Medivacs, if you are not prepared, they can snipe off a hive as we've seen before, but guess what? TLO's super prepared. Baneling's morphing into the main base, Ling's already there, and TLO's got Hydras on the north side, ready to anticipate another attack on the north side.
He's gonna go
so ready.
He wants to go kill that 3rd base. He's got the queens out there too. I was gonna say, a snipe on the hive might be the only thing that really brings this game back to a good spot for Coffee. There's not a lot here to defend. There are some Banelings. So TLO's gonna run everything back. He doesn't have Bane speed. Oh, he focuses. Oh my god, he used the Titan so that he couldn't target fire them. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god, that's so creative. That was sick. That was the highlight moment of my day today.
At least once a month, I see some new crap I've never seen before in this damn video game.
Oh my god. It was the Nidus teleportation move. And now we end up seeing TLO starting to push on forward. Another Nidus Swarm going up in the main base. Guess what? He Nidus Swarms over here. This is not even to reinforce anything. I think it's to load up the units he has over here to go to the main.
Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. Ooh.
That was so sick. Oh, okay, a bait Nidus Swarm. He doesn't actually have anything in here. Just trying to pull some units out of position. Oh, no, there's the queen. Transfuse!
Oh, god, units come out of those things fast.
Oh, that health buff, though.
That knight is going to work.
Yep. All the units that were in the center of the map now over here.
Oh, I think we're going to game 3, Fear Dragon.
I would agree. Losing all your production is a little bit of a hindrance as a Terran player.
Yeah, oh my god. Wow. You know, I really feel like if TLO had lost those Banes and those Marines just sit there, clean up all the Lings, maybe get the Nidus and Infestation Pit, like this game can kind of spiral out of control like it did last game. But wow, that was a sick play. Do you have some Liberator counterattacks going on? He doesn't have production anymore, right? This is it. He's building 2 Marines.
This is actually it, and he's gonna lose his orbital command, it looks like, as well.
Yeah. He does have a decent amount.
I think he actually will clean this up, but he's gonna lose his orbital command. He's gonna be down to 2 bases and no production. GG.
Yeah, no production. GG. The Wunderwunsch ties it up. Okay, yeah, this is officially the best match of today's total match.
Pretty great.
So far. Really good. I can't believe I got to see that. He did the bunker trick. Like that's something that you usually see Terrans use unload for, where it's like, oh yeah, pull into the bunker, move out to the other side really fast. But instead he uses he's like, the Nidus is right there, puts him into the Nidus instead of like walking them slowly. And I'm like, it's just easy right click on slow Banes. But he says no, straight to the Nidus. Nidus rallies out, boom, insta death. So cool. So great. Very cool.
Guys, I need to issue a formal apology to Dr. Dario for saying that he forgot Baneling speed. He doesn't need Baneling speed with moves like that.
No,
it doesn't even matter. when you can teleport your banelings 5 feet in front of you. It's basically like having Blink. You don't need baneling speed.
Blink banelings.
Blink banelings.
You heard it here today, ladies.
That's what we're coining that. We're coining that micro trick as Blink banelings.
When you make your Reddit post posting that, it'll already have been posted by the time they hear us say this. There'll be like 5. How many? 5?
Quick, get me a phone. We need to go to Twitch chat.
That's true. If we catch it on the delay before you guys, we can post it first.
Guys, this won't make sense for about 3 more minutes, but Blink banelings. No. All right, we'll find out where things go in game number 3, though. Interesting to see, because Coffee, he did have a really strong start in the first series, the first game, and it was in the later stages of the game that he looked really good. But this game, Dr. Dario just got a super early advantage with the Roach Ravager stuff.
He is extremely good at the video game Fear Dragon. That's what he is, and man. Oh goodness.
It was a bit of unfortunate scouting, by the way, though, from Coffee, where you move forward with your Reaper, you see it's a pool first, but you just know that the hatchery was second, but you don't actually move back into the base to see the Roach Horn because you're busy trying to retreat back home to kill off the Lings. It's not something that happens every single time. It's not something a Zerg player can rely on when they go for the Roach Ravager all-ins. I
need to see the chat reaction to that Baneling Nidus. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see.
I don't know if the broadcast is ready to
definitely
have chat
never.
on it.
I am so confident that has never happened in a broadcasted match like that ever before.
I believe you. I believe you on that.
There's always something. There's always something. That's one of my favorite things about StarCraft. There's always some random stuff that occasionally happens that I'm just like, yeah, I've never seen this in playing this game for 8 years. No, that's the first time I've seen a guy with slow Banes deal with a ton of Marines in his main with a Nidus teleport jump.
I think you said it well before. Even after 8 or 9 years of StarCraft 2, I still see new things every so often. But okay, guys, we're going to be starting down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Terran player. His name is Coffee. Victus Gaming, by the way.
Yep. And his opponent on the east side, he is TLO. I just want to confirm, by the way, that I did open up the chat just to see people lost their minds naturally.
Wonderful.
Because it was such a sick play.
You know what's one of the saddest things to me sometimes, though? When you're playing StarCraft, the one downside sometimes when you're playing StarCraft and you have a sick play is that sometimes you're not sure if your opponent saw your sick play. You need a witness to it.
Yeah, do you think he was looking at his bio?
That's what I was wondering.
He had to be looking at it.
Well, there was also the other attacks happening on the other side of the map.
That's true.
So he may have been focusing.
What if Coffee didn't realize what happened? What if he thought the Banelings just walked into him?
Yeah, he was like, man, these Banelings, I thought that they were slow, but I guess the Baneling speed finished up in the middle of the attack or something.
Wasted a good surprise on you.
Has that ever happened to you? Do you ever wonder about that when you're playing ladder games? Or do you just assume your opponent sees everything?
No, it doesn't matter, because Twitch chat will, if I do something cool, Twitch chat will validate me.
As a streamer, I guess you get that.
When I teleport a BC out with 2 health, the opponent usually notices, because they say some not-so-friendly things to me. But otherwise, I don't really.
They're like, you should take better care of your battle cruisers.
Someone's like, really? How much? I've had people ask me as well. They're like, how much HP? How much HP? And then I say 1, and then they just leave the game.
I imagine you as to be one of the people that would say 1 even when it has like 50 hit points left over.
Usually, I mean, the thing is you don't teleport it until it's in red health.
That's true.
Which for a battle cruiser is under 100 hit points, so.
I've also heard that you have a little bit of experience practicing teleporting battle cruisers.
That's true.
Well, this game, we do have a more normal-looking opening from TLO with a hatch gas pool, starting up Zergling speed, pulling off of gas, and, of course, Automaton, one of those funny maps that has a nice, wide-open natural expansion. Takes a few buildings to wall that off. And again, I feel like I always say this. Whenever I see this map, it always feels like it goes either really short or really long. And I don't see a lot of games in between.
It's a well-balanced map. There's some features of it that are really good for aggression, like the way that the ramp works and that lip up front for like drops and sieges, especially in TVP or TVT. But long game wise, the way that the bases kind of wrap around with where you normally want to attack, it does go long. It does go long sometimes like that.
Okay,
I like maps with those features. Like a good.
Me too.
If someone thinks that I'm just being generic, I would say a counter to that would be like Port Alexander, which does not have some amazing spot to push the natural, and is also a big map that's long. But this map has those features where it's like, yeah, even though it's not the tiniest map, you still don't really have, you know, many defensive features by the main base.
Yeah. I will say one thing I really liked about, and people are gonna hate me for this. One thing I really liked about Dasan Station is not necessarily the super early cheese games, but when the games would go long, I thought the game got so interesting because it was kind of expanding.
The map layout was
You would start
interesting,
expanding away from your opponent in the opposite direction, so your bases got safer actually as the game went on, and then you started expanding closer to your opponent. So it was like this weird expanding unsafe, then safe, and then unsafe again. I always really liked that.
There's definitely some merit to like playing around with those features of maps. I always feel like the weakness, the trap that some map makers fall into is they're like, we have a cool mechanic, let's use it everywhere. And it's like, well, maps, like what makes a map unique is when there's like, we made one tiny change in this one spot and it is symmetrical and it's going to affect some games but not all of them, and when it does it's going to look really cool, but otherwise it won't be a pain for the majority of players. That's what I like to see.
Well, Ling's actually getting a decent amount of damage done over here. 2 worker kills for just 4 or 5 Lings running on by, keeping the Hellions at home as well. And I think we even saw some Lings make their way up to the high ground to scout out exactly where the add-ons were, seeing a tech lab on the factory.
It's going bio, which is important to know because Coffee could play some mech, although we haven't really seen him bust it out. I think any Terran
He's
player...
just been the most standard player for the most part today.
Yeah, but mech is standard these days. I don't think you can be a good Terran player if you don't have a mech build in your repertoire. If you can write off mech as a Zerg player versus Terran, there's so many things you don't have to think about anymore.
That's fair. So far, we
I mean it mostly in that way, where if you know that a Terran player only does one thing,
the threat of it is important.
Because the biggest advantage of Terran and Zerg in this matchup is the options, right?
Yeah.
Especially for
Terran.
Terran.
For them. Well, so far we do have Overlord speed starting to add up over here for TLO, so really wants to make sure he gets a good scout on later on in the game. Be able to keep an eye out for things, and also maybe even just get his Overlords back into position if he does manage to get a kill on that Viking, and keeping an eye out for drops, etc., since that is what game number 1 was for Coffee. It was a lot of really good drop harassment pulling TLO apart. And even game number 2, he tried to do the same thing. The TLO was a little bit more on top of it. The push out is happening though.
It's a big push coming out from Coffee.
There's some decent creep spread going already though, especially compared to game number 2, but granted that was because TLO went for an all-in, didn't have Queens as spread creep early on.
Right.
Ooh, this run back, is he gonna go for a counterattack or is he gonna try and surround?
This either wins or this either wins or loses the game right here if he goes across the map. Because that's really terrifying. Like you're committing to something that you can't really pull back from. The tanks! Target fire the Banes. There's more big Banelings. You want to target fire those with your tanks.
Yep. Definitely had vision of them through the medevac, but here we go. The surround, the Lings dive in on top of those siege tanks. The Banelings.
Target fire. There's only one more Baneling. Gets all of the Banes. And now it's just Marines versus Lings and Queens. And I got bad news for you, boys and girls in Twitch chat. That's a bad spot to be in for the Zerg.
That hatchery getting very low on hit points. The drones are being pulled off the line. TLO's got about 15 to work with before he falls to an even count. But
I would rather give all my drones than lose this third base.
Wow, man, just to lose 16 drones. So falls a little bit further behind, but keeps the third base alive.
Coffee doesn't have a third command center. He's only just now started it. So we've reached this weird world where that was actually a sick play by TLO.
Well, it's not over just yet, though. There is another round of units making its way across the map.
I don't know how he stops this wave.
He did have more Banelings, more.
Shout out to Baneling's speed, by the way. I'm kind of amazed he's.
Well, this game he doesn't have the Nidus Worm, so he can't really rely on that.
No.
Okay, Ling's getting pushed back, and losing even a few of these Lings really does hurt because this is still going to be a pretty difficult hold if Coffee decides to continue pushing. And Coffee's going to try and push from a different angle. It's a bit of an interesting move because then he's going to be up against more creep spread. He has to use more scans, which already hurts his kind of herd economy. But is the depot going to be raised in time? No! That is tough. This puts Coffee in a very difficult position.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to do the whole Luca D supply thing going on, but now TLO is trying to even things up. And, you know, I think he realizes, he's like, oh, yeah, that's the third command center. He's like, if I was able to deny or force a cancel on this, that could be game ending, and he's going to go for it.
That's actually all in
great
territory.
call. Great call by TLO, because now now TLO knows. He's like, well, this goes back to me just defending. Coffee doesn't have an economic follow-up to this build. Coffee has to go all in with this. He's got 36 SCVs, no third command center, and
look at all these banelings now that TLO has. 19 banelings with baneling speed, and 1-1 upgrades are now finished up.
I'll do you one more, though. He really needs to get creep spread on that third again. He needs to get the queens over there. He needs to get a few more creep tumors so that those banelings can do their jobs.
He doesn't have any queen. He literally doesn't have a queen on the map right now.
That's a problem.
70 Zerglings, though. We'll see if it's going to be enough. He catches a lot of the reinforcements. He's going to be able to flank this army once again. Remember, Coffee can't afford to retreat this time. Baneling's going to be diving in on top of that siege tank line. The Marines have nowhere to run.
Surrounded. Well, a lot of Marines do die there. Really good pickups here. Really good pickoffs.
Remember, this is all-in territory. Coffee has to get some damage done.
Yeah, he's TLO only has 44 drones, so it's not the end of the world. But man, oh man, losing those tanks was big.
Oh,
is TLO
the are raised. I think he's trying to rally across the map.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh! Yay! How is TLO still down in supply after all of that? That's actually.
Coffee's macro is definitely not his weak point.
No, definitely not.
Look at that. He pulls the drones so that the banelings don't get auto-targeted by the Marine AI.
I like that.
Dr. Dario.
A lot of medevacs making their way across the map. Now, again, the army supply is still very much heavily in favor of Coffee, but a lot of it is medevacs as well. So TLO is not out of this just yet, but he only has about 4 banelings. He's going up to 6 now. Has Hydras on the way.
A big drop going to the main base. Does Dr. Dario see it? Not sure he's aware of it.
He's already positioning his queens there, but he needs a lot more of his army in that position.
Now, yeah, he doesn't have the Banes, doesn't have the Baneling count that he needs to make the defense here. There's not another big army anywhere else. This is mostly what he's got at the moment. And the Banelings, he only has 6 Banelings total yet.
Oh, focus fire on those Banelings once again.
Focus fire on the Banelings, they do nothing. Is this where Coffee breaks Dario? Might be.
Drop also at the third base, trying to focus fire down that hatchery as well. The Hydra Den is there too, so if Dario is not able to defend his main, not able to defend his third, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Liberators even coming in.
Liberators in the back. I think that's what's going to... I think this one might be done. He does route the enemies from his main base, but both mineral lines are being liberated in the worst way.
And look at that push across the map. That is not an army that TLO can handle. Coffee playing some fantastic StarCraft 2 today, being able to get into such a good position, more than doubling the supply of his opponent. He's going to come in for one final push. There's no Baneling.
GG! Coffee makes it out in first place in this group after some stellar standard play. Just amazing. Really good play. Really good play.
Super impressed.
Kudos to Dario. Gave us the best series that we had today, in my opinion. Yeah, and just really, really good. Coffee, great mechanical control. Couple of mishaps here and there, but looking like a very, very solid Terran. I'm excited to see a good Terran player in WCS.
And just straight up standard play. It wasn't anything super quirky or super duper strange. Of course, there was like one Hellbat attack or something, but it was all really normal stuff. Just really, really impressive mechanics, like you said. Now, TLO, not going to be out of the group just yet. He's not down and out. He's not knocked out of WCS Winter. He's still got that shot in the decider match. And if we take a look, we do have one last match ready for today in Group G. As we take a look, he's going to be facing off against none other than the other American Zerg player, Silky.
It's the rematch for the century.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to miss that match coming on up in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere.